Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. Big A Anthony Stabile, Andy Serling. We are in the indoor set here at Belmont. It's a little bit chilly out today, and gotta say, everybody did a tremendous job in the new set. Having
Beautiful.
this nice new set indoors, I think it'll look excellent.
Just past the finish line here.
Yeah.
At Big Sandy, yeah, beautiful day.
This is usually
good
around
card.
where the horses I like get the lead.
Right, me too.
Right around
too.
here when they run
The
well.
gallop outs
when
begin
when
right
they
there.
run when they run
Exactly.
well, right?
Yes.
Right. That's why gallop outs are meaningless.
course.
They don't
They
pay.
don't get paid.
Great card today, actually. 102 betting interests in today's 10-race card. For those of you who are mathematically challenged like Anthony, that's 10.2 horses per race. Trying to help you out and work on
I
your math a
appreciate it.
little
That's
bit.
good. Thank you.
Anyway, an excellent card, a couple of nice stakes we'll talk about. We'll talk about all those things, including the Big Six carryover, after you have signed up for NYRA Bets. If you're not a member of NYRA Bets, head on over to NYRABets.com. Use the promo code CUP25. You get a free $25 play on the Breeders' Cup races, along with the usual $200 deposit match bonus. NYRABets.com. Play through NYRA Bets. Keep the money in the game. What else do we have going on, Francisco? We got the Big Six carryover, we said. How about that? 47,777. It's pretty, it's not symmetrical. It's just pretty amazing that you've got four, that
Four
would-
sevens
that
in
would
there.
be-
Yeah, I'm bowled over.
I was recently telling somebody how the old number, how the old numbers thing with the
Yeah.
people play the numbers, how it was, you got the numbers from the
last three digits
yeah,
of the handle.
They did not know that.
They didn't or you did?
They didn't know
You
that. I knew
of
that
course
for
you
years. Well, it actually came up in something, sort of TV show or something, but obviously been around for a while. Anyway, the 20% exacta bonus, I just opted in for that myself. You got to opt in, 20% bonus on all your exacta winnings. Worked well for me 2 weeks ago. Last week, not so special, but still well worth opting in. Some free money, perhaps, if you can hit some exactas or even one on today's card. What else do we have, Francisco? Keep them rolling, buddy. Cross country pick 5. The two stakes here, the Raven Run at Keeneland, as well as two juicy allowance races at Keeneland. Love that morning line at Perryville, by the way. 4-1 third choice on a horse who will probably not be 2-1 Pipeline. I guess if Pipeline was trained by a more high-profile trainer than that Chad Brown guy, maybe people would notice that he
probably
has
what it was.
decided edge and buyer figures over
That's
the
probably
others.
what it was.
But that will not be part of the Big Five. But the Raven Run will be. I think Caramel Swirl's going to run well. She got a silly ride last time, to say the least. What else? Keep them rolling, Francisco. America's Day at the races, 12:30 to 5:30. All the racing from here. I will be on late, by the way. All right, today's first race.
one of my questions.
Today's first race. We'll take a look at Speed Effect, who's the horse to beat, a horse you and I both picked on top. I think we have seen, and we'll take a look at the last race that ours ran. It also involved Johnny Pump. I think we have seen a decided edge to horses racing on the rail, on the main track over the last couple days. The first time we've really seen it since opening week here. Speed Effect is the controlling speed. This is not the day for Irad Ortiz to be rating horses and sitting 3 wide with alone speed. No, there's no day for that. But he clears the
about to say,
lead.
there's no day
He
for
clears the lead. The riding in yesterday's Carl Place was really special by a number of characters.
Characters.
Let's go to the lead with this horse. He should have won last time. He did lose, did run down by, I think, the second choice. He's the horse to beat in here. He's the controlling speed. He's supposed to wire them.
How about that replay? They went to the slow-mo at the end. I've never seen that.
We got a lot of tricks. Francisco has a
Just-
lot
just
of tricks.
in case you
there.
really needed Speed Effect,
Yeah,
just look how bad the beat was.
Wasn't that bad a beat. He should have won.
No, he should have won.
I needed him, and I didn't feel like it was a bad beat. I thought he's a horse that just should have won.
He should have won, and when the quote-unquote other horse in the race is Johnny Pump, I'm not going to speak for you, but I think I can say
I agree.
you and I are going to side with the Speed Effects of the world before Johnny Pump.
I have already won $100,000 on this race. I bet $10 million and laid 100 to 1 that David Aragona would pick Make It in New York.
of course
There was no bigger lock in this race. David, who's
He doesn't owe him anything.
He's got a shirt. I think he's got like a Make It in New York. He's the biggest fan of this horse, and I don't disagree. He's a little bit interesting because I think you have to think about with Make It in New York. He hasn't run 7 months. It's a horse that when he broke his maiden, and he does draw the rail, which helps. And Kendrick is going to be aware of that because nobody understands the bias quicker than Kendrick does around here. And he can run inside. He was inside of horses that day. He ran a 60 buyer that day. He could run 10 points higher than that.
Sure.
I mean, he and you look through this field. I know we got Johnny Pump in there. I've got him third, you got him second. Do you want him?
No.
Do you really want Profusion? I
No.
guess he can win. So I do think that you can make a reasonable case for the one being an interesting other horse in this race.
Yeah, I don't
So
disagree
I'm
with
going to
that.
have him.
If you had a shirt made of a non-high profile horse, who would it be? The Crocheron Kid?
Does Dine ever count?
No, he was a stakes horse.
Non-high profile horses? I don't know. There have been so many over the years, you know.
Recently, though, since we've been doing
I
the
like
show
the
together.
Crocheron Kid. I don't
Crocheron
know,
Kid-
but there are. I mean, I think that one of the fun things about racing and being a racing fan is sort of falling in love with the less than high profile horses. I mean, you're the same. I mean, Big
Sure.
Leroy and I talk about it all the time. I mean, they're the warriors of the game, you know,
course.
and they're the ones that are the bread and butter horses. And I think we all racing fans develop an affinity for the horses that aren't the big names.
Wow, I don't.
That would be a fun, sequence to come up with, like, maybe at the end of the year, even like some, I think Jason and I did that once years ago, like the Inner Track Awards, horses. I remember that was the winter that Randy Persaud had that Phipps horse, that ex-Phipps horse, that ran like 10 or 11 times over the winter and finally won in his last start, but had like 8 seconds. You know the horse? What's the
I
name?
don't
of it?
remember the
I know
horse.
the horse.
I remember
See,
the-
I
I
remember
remember
with
this-
Randy's
I remember
colors.
this
He was
now.
always running second. I remember I beat him at the wire for a big score with a horse one day in the in the middle of the card. But yeah, but and I think that it would be fun, like the end of the year, every year, as opposed
Sure.
to the Eclipse Awards. Listen, I would love an Eclipse Award for Claimer of the Year.
It should be.
Those horses should be rewarded. Anyhow, moving on to race number 2. I put Scuttlebuzz's video first in race number 2 because there's a better chance that Anthony picked Scuttlebuzz than there was that David picked Made in New York in the first race, though it was kind of a heater. I laid 110 to 1 with Scuttlebuzz. Take a look at his last race. I think the thing that was very good about his last race was the fact that he showed an adaptability. He didn't drop as far back as he had in the past because he had to. It was a race that was dominated forward, and in doing so, Jose should have given as good a ride yesterday in the feature as he gave in this race. I think the worry that with this horse, honestly, is 7 furlongs.
Well, it's funny you say that, Mr. Sermon.
Funny?
Without his last race, I probably wouldn't have picked him going 7.
Yeah, you would have picked him.
No, I probably would have picked
No,
Colton's Command.
You would have picked him.
The
That must have been
fact-
tough for you.
Well,
Emotional-
It was an emotional. It was
Yeah,
a
wrestling
believe me,
match.
it was an emotional battle.
Did you call Bill Mott and clear it with him first?
No, I took out a quarter. I just flipped it.
Yeah, it was
That's what I
Rudy.
do most of the time.
Rudy's been winning more than Mott lately.
Rudy has been winning more than Mott. Without his last race, I probably would have picked Colton's Command, but the fact that he was more adaptable, like you said last time, and he got himself in the game a little earlier, it gives me the hope that he'll take the 7 better than Colton's Command, because Colton's Command, one of these horses that could use a little pace in front of him. More often than not, these horses have the punch at 6, and they lose a little of their luster at 7. So I went with Scuttlebuzzed based on the last race.
I worry about it a bit. As far as Colton's Command, I'll tell you something about him. I think Colton's Command, we'll take a look at his last race. We'll look at the start, and then we'll look at the quarter finish. He just kind of broke a little slowly in this race, and he kind of got sort of steadied back in the field. I thought this is the best race that he's ever run, because this was the first time that, and sometimes making that run out in the clear is better, but this was a race that was dominated up front. And Ballydoyle set, once again, the 437th slow pace in a turf race at Belmont this meet, and nobody else was picking up ground behind him. And this horse had a little trouble early, and he circled the field, and he made a real run to get second. I thought this was a really good race by Colton's Command, but once again, I worry about these closing sprinter types as they add the extra furlong. It doesn't help them. It hurts them. Doesn't mean they can't win. But I thought it might be a bit of an issue for him.
Yeah, I agree. But I still think he can win this race, so I put them 1, 2.
I think the turn of events is actually going to run pretty well in this race, because he's going to be a bit forward, and I think people are going to sort of disregard him as cheaper. And I'm not sure he's not an improving horse. He's run very well in his last 2 starts. I took Big Everest. I don't trust Big Everest. But this is a horse that was not suited to the 6 furlongs last time out. It was too short for him. And he also, after breaking the step slow, he got very rank, and he was 3 to 4 wide in that race. And that was a rail-dominated race, not only by the runner-up, but the winner rode the rail, and he angled out in the stretch. It was pretty much a forward race. And I just thought it was a race that didn't work out for him. I'm concerned that he's a horse that gets a little bit rank. I don't know how big a price he's going to be. If he ends up at 3 to 1, I wouldn't like him. I thought he might get a little lost off his last race. I thought his maiden win was very, very good. It's a tricky start for him. I don't totally trust him, but I thought his price might go up a little bit. I'm going to disagree with David and think he ends up being the 3rd choice, and I think he should be behind the 1 and 5. and maybe you get 4-1 or so on him. I thought his maiden win was extremely impressive, and if he could run that race, he could win here. And I can make excuses for his last race, so I'm going to give him one last chance. He is, though, a horse that's his own worst enemy because he does get rank in races.
Yes. It's an interesting race. The second race
Well,
is very interesting because you got to deal with two of the favorites. Got to deal with that extra panel, and
It's also a race that's devoid of speed,
Right.
and that's particularly bad when even races loaded with speed have slow paces around here. Shiraz is supposed to go, as is probably the other half of the entry that could probably be used as a reasonable rabbit.
that's
for
what I would
Scuttlebutt in
imagine
this
is going to
race.
happen, right?
But Shiraz is supposed to go as well. Now, I don't trust Shiraz, but sometimes Shiraz wakes up and he's good enough to beat this field because his races 2 and 4 back can win this race. And the fact that he can be forward in a potentially mediocre pace, I think makes him a little bit dangerous in here. This race, I thought this race was a very tricky race when you add the pace and you add the distance as well, race number 3. As bad as Anthony thinks this race was, I think the Lady Dene race was a very, very strong race, the maiden race. There are 2 coming out of that race. You've got Leah Marina, who Anthony has on top and I have second, and you have the one split second, Sonny, who finished 4th in there. Now, watch what happens because Leah Marina is in front of split second Sonny, and right here, he's going to back up into her a little bit, and you're going to see split second Sonny have to steady behind her. Was it major? No, but I think it was significant. And I think it definitely led to the fact that this horse losing by a length and a half and finishing 4th. Split second Sonny, in my opinion, comes back and is not a miler, and I think showed last time. In fact, he's more of a closing sprinter. So, and he also lost to horse Haughty. It's a pretty talented horse for Chad Brown. I prefer split second Sonny in here. I am shocked that you would have Leah Marie on top and not have split second Sonny 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, I may have slept the mile. I may have slept the fact that this horse didn't want to go the mile last
Well,
time.
what was wrong with the race?
No, there was
Back?
nothing.
What was wrong with the race last time?
There was nothing wrong with the race last time. There was nothing wrong with the race last time.
I mean,
You're right.
it's
Based on
fine taking the 8
debut-
on top, but why would you have the 8 on top and leave the 1 out?
Based on the debut, I thought for a second I made a mistake, but no, it's an 11, not a 1. Yeah, I may have slept.
We had to
this
get Mott
horse.
in there.
I may have
He
slept
is
this
dominant with
horse.
those first-time stars in turf sprints. He is 0 for about 80 years.
Here we go.
Well, he is.
I thought this was Marina. I thought this was Leah Marina's race to lose.
I think it's a little bit different than you do. We both have the 5 in there. Skims. You want to talk about this horse?
You know, Dan was 0 for 2. It's a Frankel.
Well, how was she with her production?
No turf works. I didn't see any real production.
She produced
out of her.
5 turf horses to try the turf. 3 of them won. They were very solid European runners. The second generation is significant turf. It's Ticker Tape is the second dam, who is a winner in Europe, but also a major winner here, won over $1 million, $1.4 million. This is a major turf pedigree. We just never seem to see the Frankels win here. They've won for Chad. That's about it.
It's 6,
occasionally.
going 6 for debut, 6 for There's no this horse. A bunch of Belmont Park works. Never got this horse on a turf course anywhere. But I mean, with the pedigree, obviously, you're just gonna put this horse right on the grass. Yeah, I guess.
I don't think they were ever considering running this horse in the dirt.
Right.
Well, you do have the horse second. Radiant Gem. What's your thoughts on Radiant Gem?
Well, you all right over there?
Yeah, just a little bit of a.
I don't know what went on last time.
It was a little bit weird.
Yeah, it was a very curious race. She took some money. I mean, the comment in the paper is wrestled
water.
back. It doesn't even do it justice.
It's a little. Let me tell you something. And Luch pointed this out on Twitter last time. And when Luch is making sense on Twitter,
Grief.
there's really, really something wrong. And he pointed out the number of horses that have wrestled back comments around here, and there are too many of them. I'm sorry. I mean, he
And like I said, I don't think it does it justice. It was just
ducked
a
way out in the
strange
back
move.
stretch.
Yeah, it was just
I don't know what
strange.
was going on there either. Now, Benji Hernandez picks them out. I thought Benji gave that horse I liked in the second race yesterday a terrific ride. I don't. My problem is I think this horse may be coming out of a race that was a bit of a stinker. That's my problem. with
And
this
that's
horse.
fine, but
I agree.
this
It was-
horse did enough running at the end of the race last time that
I
I think the horse is a little dangerous here.
I don't disagree. You just had to have a Mott horse in there, Sheer Alice. You couldn't let Mott be in a race without including him in there. You had him
Yeah,
before.
exactly.
Okay, just checking.
That was it.
Race number 4. Race number 4. I don't have a lot to say. Why don't you tell us why you picked Irish Giant?
I don't really have a lot to say here either. Sorry. This is another instance. I feel like where we've seen enough of some of the other horses in here. I thought this horse cutting back, and this horse did not want any part of the mile. The last.
You think this horse would have won if it was 6 furlongs?
No, I think the horse I think the horse needed a race, and I think the horse is getting significant class relief back to where he belongs.
What's interesting about this horse? I don't think the horse needed a race, but what's interesting about this,
And he's a 5-year-old gelding that didn't debut until March.
let me know when you're done, and then I'll finish.
You asked me, and I'm just saying. I mean,
okay,
these horse obviously starting and stopping. He didn't debut till he was 5. He probably needed the race off the bench.
I don't think he needed a race, and I'll try to explain why. I mean, but you have more
Go
stuff to
ahead.
say. Go ahead.
The floor is yours.
Okay, you sure?
Senator, the floor is yours.
Okay. This horse was entered incredibly aggressively on a few occasions by Linda Rice. I don't think Linda Rice is entering a horse off a layoff aggressively that she thinks needs a race. When Linda Rice enters her horses aggressively, it's usually a very good sign. Now, in this case, she misjudged it. But I don't really think this horse needed a race because I don't think Linda was looking to run those races and then dump the horse back to the lower level it ran before. So obviously I think this horse is doing pretty well. Now, this horse was towards the inside last time, so did not get hurt by the track bias, but the way she'd entered him and now dropping him, she must have seen some good things from him. Now, maybe she saw things in the morning from him and he gets to the racetrack in the afternoon and he just can't run. That's why I picked him, because she had been so aggressive with him. I think the interesting horse in here, however, is the 11 War of Thrones. I just go back to Joe Parker having that big winter here, and he's won with some oddball horses. This is a private purchase for this horse, going from Chris Englehart, and I think War of Thrones is going to run well in here. And if I had thought about it, I probably should have put him on top. The problem with this race is the inside speed is Posse Condisco. It's hard to make a strong case that he can still run anymore. You've got Ernie Banker, who can be forward. He's coming off an ease and a Van Doff, though he can clearly win this race. Papa Smooth. Well, he's probably going to have to deal with the speed of Posse Condisco. I don't think Omar Moreno is going to be rating him, and Jalen Samuel hasn't got the message you got to rate speed horses around here. So I think there's supposed to be some pace, and I think these are all untrustworthy horses that figure to be forward. And what do you do when two of the players on paper just coming off of not finishing?
Right.
I mean, that's a big problem. And,
absolutely.
you go through, it's like, where are you supposed to go? I tried to make a case for Noctilucent, but the reality of Noctilucent is when that horse won, he took advantage of a track bias. It's the 9 Noctilucent. And last time out, he did a little running in the middle of the race, but that was an extraordinarily weak field. Now, this is not a particularly strong field either, and that's why an Irish Giant who's dropping is dangerous. But I think that's why War of Thrones is a little bit interesting coming in.
Okay.
So I'm gonna use a little Joe Parker.
Okay.
Joe's very excited by this one, by the way. He was the first person I ran into coming in, I think on.
Listen, man, if you're gonna call it voodoo, don't try and employ it.
It may have been yesterday. Is there not like an angle on seeing the person yesterday?
If you're going to call it voodoo, do not try to employ it.
Well, who said that, by the way, that I don't believe in voodoo occasionally? Just because it's voodoo doesn't mean I'm not completely a little.
You're a closet voodoo guy. Everybody knows this. Anybody, and he who doth protest too much, you got a
great point.
I got a voodoo doll.
Make a great point. You have a voodoo doll, no surprise.
I
so
do.
race number 5, we can move on. Francisco. Race number
Cinco.
5. By the way, Francisco, what is race number 5 kicking off? What is it kicking off? There it is, the pick 6 carryover, $47,777.
How much do you think Francisco's putting into it today?
Don't make fun of Francisco. You're
I'm
being
not.
very mean to. You're being very mean to Francisco
I'm
today.
not.
Who'd you pick on top of this race?
I picked Mott. I picked Sir John.
No,
I picked Sir.
No.
Yeah,
So
I
you
did.
took the horse out of the 23rd of September 5th race that had the good trip, as opposed to the horse that had a bad trip.
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Well, at least we've finally forever settled the discussion. For anybody out there that thinks that Anthony has any interest in trip handicapping, the answer is he has none. So we'll take a look at the 2 horses in that race that had trips. You could watch Sir John. He's the 2 in this race. But really, he'll be the one getting a good trip while these horses are getting in trouble. There is no question that Excursionista is the one who was most unlucky. This horse was completely cut off through no fault of Jose Lezcano and dropped back in here. And this horse ran very, very well. Meseta, who's the number 5 horse in this race, had very good early position, but that's what Eric Kinsella likes to do. He likes to have early position in turf racing and then fall as far back as he possibly can.
There it is again, by the way. Wrestled back.
By the way, wrestled back. Well, that's Eric's MO. Eric, that's why he wins so many turf races, because he just strangles horses back and loses position. Nothing Jose could have done. There is saying that this horse could have done. And let me just point out, by the way, and this is going to be a shocking development to people. You know who won this race? He's easy to see. Excuse me. He's easy. He's the horse in front. That's who won the race, the horse that's in front. So it's also interesting as Meseta just loses ground after ground after ground, and that's why I put the horse on top. Also because, and I don't disagree that Excursioniste should be the favorite in this race, they're going to overbet that horse while there's Meseta losing even more ground, just when you thought it wasn't possible. Do I think Excursioniste ran the better race? I do. I absolutely do. I'm going to be hopeful. I'm not optimistic, but I'm going to be hopeful that after this race, Eric will realize he needs to hold on to his position better with Meseta. And it's a second-time starter for Linda. Now, while the Mott horse is getting an absolute perfect trip, Anthony's selection in this race, and these horses are all having trouble and still finishing ahead of him, how are you going to beat these horses today with Sir John, unless they know they're going to fall down?
So I feel like with the rider change to Luis Saez, Sir John is going to be more forward.
He was forward.
He'll be more forward. I did use the word more. And I think it gives him a little bit of an edge. Now, let's see how the other two, let's see if Excursionista can get a cleaner trip. Let's see if Meseta can
well, he's not going to get a, he's got to get a cleaner trip.
Let's see if Meseta can get a more aggressive ride. I'll take the rider change, which at this point, I think the rider change to Luis Saez is significant. And I'm hoping that he uses this.
Does he come with like a jetpack? No, if Louis got a jetpack on him, I don't know how he can give this horse a better trip than Junior did, and he still couldn't hold those horses off.
I didn't say he didn't get a good trip last time.
I mean, Junior's not riding well, but he didn't do anything wrong with this horse.
I would like to see this horse be handled more aggressively today.
So Anthony has no interest in trip handicapping. I think it's kind of interesting and relevant. Having said all that, I went in a different direction, and I picked the number 8, Nick Estrados, a first-time star for Jonathan Thomas. Dam did win in the turf, ran 83 Beyer. She hasn't had much success as a broodmare, but you do, 0 for 2 in the turf. They ran Beyers in the 60s, but this is a Declaration War who I like, and I just feel sometimes like Jonathan Thomas seems to sometimes have live first-time stars. Right around this time last year, I think Hard Love broke his maiden for him first time out, and I just thought, I didn't think that race was that good that an interesting firster couldn't be dangerous. You've got Desert Tornado going out for Brad Cox. There really isn't much turf there. It's a Lau band, but one of the foals was a Freud. So it's not really a lot of turf, and I think that horse could be dangerous for Brad Cox, but I took Nick Estrados, the first-time star that I wanted in this race, because I just didn't love that race overall. These horses are coming out of. I don't think that much of Sundays with Sandy, but Excursioniste is the horse to beat for Little Bluebird stable. That's the first 5, late pick 5 after a quick break.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Anthony Stabile, Andy Serling, the indoor set here at Belmont Park. A little heat just kicked on. I'm really happy. I'm really happy when I get in the indoor set. I really do. I like the indoor set.
I don't like the heat. I'm like frosty. I start to melt in here.
So, once again, from a trip handicapping standpoint, we can get into another race where Anthony has Ring of Fire, who ran well and got a good trip, but got an absolutely perfect trip, and doesn't have Muntatham, who finished just a length 3/4 behind him despite having a horrid trip. Watch Muntatham, and this is not John Velasquez's fault, but Johnny is saving ground. He's in the 2-path. He's going to angle out outside that horse, and he's just going to get completely and totally stopped in the back of the pack. It's not good when you're a deep closer and you start commencing your rally and you get completely stopped. And there is a possibility, and he couldn't even angle out because they kept drifting, so he had to go inside of horses. And no doubt, Ring of Fire's improved. He ran fine in here, but he also got an absolutely perfect trip Whereas Montatham had nothing but trouble, and he's still coming at the end. And had he been able to make a clean run, it might have been very different for second in there. Now, I obviously don't love the rider switch to a rider who's unable to keep position in turf races, but I think that if you're going to take this race and you've got Ring of Fire, who's going to be around the 5-6 to 1, I think you have to take a better price on Montatham, who had the trouble behind him. And of the three in that race, he's the one that had the trouble. He's the one I take. So for me, if you want somebody out of that race, you're supposed to take him. Anthony has them first and third, the ones that had perfect trips in front of him.
Yeah,
You're a big trip handicap.
I don't really want anything to do with the rider change on the 8. To be honest with you,
It's all about riders for you.
it's not all about riders, but
Seems to be.
It's got to be enough about riders. Around here, it does.
I'm about horses, and I hope for the best for the
Okay.
riders. I obviously don't appreciate the riding on some of these riders. I just the rating speed horses is become an epidemic here, and it's bad for the racing, and frankly it compromises horses' chances of winning constantly. And good luck, Kendrick Carmouche, he's smiling all the way to the bank. He won on maybe the 5th or 6th best horse in the stake yesterday, on a horse that was about the 4th or 5th fastest horse by going to the lead. God bless you, Kendrick. You know, I tip my hat to him. He's paying attention.
Yes,
Other
he is.
guys, not so much. Who else in this race?
I thought King James was just extremely logical. I just wanted a horse with a little bit of purpose. You see, and again, don't envy his job. This is a tough race to make a morning line. He's the 4-1 morning line favorite. I don't know how they're going to bet this race.
He's
This
kind of
one-
a 78 buyer. Why wouldn't he be?
Yeah, he just makes a ton of sense. To
I don't
me.
disagree.
He just makes a ton. I almost put him on top, but like I said, I wanted a horse that's going to be a little bit of a better.
Got the money
price.
last time, though.
Yeah.
I thought this was. I don't know how much tougher it is. I'm going to tell you something. See, I have King Moonracer in there. I know he beat a Maidenfield last time. He ran. And let
my
me tell you
problem
something.
there is, where did that race come from?
Wasn't yesterday's winner the 4th horse? Wasn't the rest of yesterday's winner coming out of that race? Yesterday's second winner?
Yeah.
What kind of race did that horse run? I know he wasn't beating much yesterday, but that horse just blasted the field.
Yeah.
He legitimized this effort. I'm going to tell you that. And I don't know where it came from either, but he ran it.
He's the
And
infamous.
if
He's the infamous 5th pick.
If he
but
runs back to that race,
he'll be right there. He'll be right on the money.
probably win this race.
Yeah.
You know what horse I think is going to run okay in here? Stanhope. He's a tricky horse. I don't envy him. We'll see. He's a bit of a runoff. He ran off on. That was a legitimate pace. That was not a mistakenly timed race. That was an accurate times. They were flying up front.
Yeah.
2 of his 3 races, he's gotten away from him. 2 races back, he got in a race where the pace held together. I think Stanhope's going to run okay in this race. I think he's a little interesting. This is a tricky race because honestly, none of the horses coming out of that 6th race on November 23rd are that good. None of them, and that includes Ring of Fire and Determined Fury and my horse. I think this race could be a little chaotic.
Okay.
We'll see. I want the trip horse out of the race. You want the logicals. Race number 7 kicks off the late pick 4. It's a tricky race, race number 7. You have Doc Rock. You haven't seen enough?
No.
A little more pain?
I don't know what happened first time.
He stunk. I do.
Okay.
Well,
Took a
Todd
lot
went
of-
right to the turf with him, so I don't think he disagreed.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. It's not a great point, but it's a good point.
No, this horse, when Todd Pletcher gets bet like that and they run that badly, it's not a good sign.
Got bet back on the turf, though.
By the way, how'd your tip
want-
do yesterday?
I want,
The Michelle Nevin horse ran a second. 20,
Yeah.
20. Just bring it up. I can't believe you didn't put that horse back. It's like vintage Big A.
Yeah.
You didn't, that was funny. I was thinking of the whole race. I was laughing.
the fact that this horse is going back to the dirt after
Well, he can't run on the turf.
Yeah, took money again last. I'm going to give him one more chance.
Why?
I'm going to give her one more chance. Because it's flawed logic, but could they be that wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, this horse was favored into
Todd
a pretty nice
Pletcher,
filly.
Todd Pletcher horses that get bet like that, his record in being wrong is not high, but when they've run badly, they're bad horses.
Okay.
If you think about, there's that run, was it at Saratoga, where Todd was like 19 for 20 with even money or less 2-year-old first-time starters winning. Some crazy
I remember
percentage.
that one, yeah.
But then there were a few that didn't win, and they all turned out to be bad horses. They all turned out to be frauds. And I think part of the problem is morning glories. Listen, I hope I'm wrong. Roddy Valenti's a friend. I hope the horse wins for Roddy. I'm not certainly never rooting against Roddy, but I mean, this horse has just been a massive disappointment. And I look at this race and see, I don't agree with David. I think this horse is going to be favored in here. They're going to do the same thing you are with Pletcher, and I think this horse is going to be favored again.
If this horse is favored, I wouldn't bet this horse at a short price.
I don't know. I mean, who are you supposed to latch onto in here? It's not like any of the 2 that ran in the dirt, the 2 or 3, or done or did any running. Who's David got favored? The 3 from Florida? Colonial, I mean? Oh. Want to look at the work at? You want to? I know you want to look at the work at Sweet
can't
Lives. I know you've been waiting to see this. If you look at the OBS, yeah, you probably looked at it already. I don't know why.
I was there.
Yeah, me too. Was that the famous sale? Was it March or April? Was the infamous
It was
the infamous action sale at Ocala?
It was
Take your time, Francisco. We don't mind. We got nothing to do. There you go. This horse worked well. 21 flat, ridden along, but not. I thought this horse was very, very good. I think that this horse is probably the goods in here. I didn't pick it on top.
We both looked at this horse second. Is that
David
accurate?
says that Cupid's Heart is working very well. The 5.
Okay.
That
Bruce
horse may
Levine.
be favored. Oh, the Flying P.
Oh,
horse.
the Flying P horse, yes.
Yeah, okay. That horse, David just said, could be favored. It's working well. I obviously didn't see it before. The 6 had a myectomy since the last race, so maybe that'll help the horse.
Okay.
So a little throat issue with him.
Well, that
Thank you for
phone
that
is just
information.
giving all kinds of, spewing all kinds of good information today.
This is a magic phone.
I can tell.
Tremendous stuff comes out of this phone.
It's fantastic shape. too.
Okay, having said all that, I'm giving the 8 one more chance, Summer Snow. You know, this horse comes out of that goofy race, the Classy Edition race, where the track had changed and clearly it was a better race. So probably the figure was closer to the 40s, which isn't very good, but it's good enough to row the ones that have run in this race. And this horse involved the pace. The pace kind of fell apart a little bit. Class Edition's pretty good. I wanted to give this horse a little. Took some money that day to be 6-1. Todd was a pretty short price. Wasn't Todd around odds on in there?
Yeah.
So this horse was very live, especially for a Mark Hennig first-time starter. So I thought this horse might be a little interesting. So I'm going to give this one a bit.
One more chance.
But David gave us that info on the 5 Cupid's Heart. It's interesting. You've got Bruce Levine with Cupid's Heart. And Bruce has been live, you know, with very few starters, and he had been a little cold for a while. And then you've got the Roddy Valenti, of course, has the long relationship with Bruce Levine as well, and this one is a flying P-firster. So this could turn out to be an interesting race. And thanks both Roddy and David for that information. We try to be a full-service operation here on Talking Horses. Race number 8, the Noble Damsel. Go ahead and tell us why you've picked Hama here on top in here, Mr. Stabile.
You know,
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
I went through.
You can show the replay.
I went through this heat.
Thank you,
and
Francisco.
To me, it is boiled down to we have a bunch of allowance horses running against an established stakes filly.
Wait a second.
And another filly who ran well in her only tilt against graded company.
And beat the established stakes horse. What do you think of this race at Monmouth?
And beat the
What do you think of
established
this race at Monmouth? Got a big figure.
I
Why
mean,
do you think this
she's
horse
on
got a
a-
big figure?
She's on a yielding ground, and she got loose on an easy lead.
I think this is a horse that really moved forward on that turf course last time.
Okay.
And when you see a horse that's run, that has run such an aberrationally high figure, like that, then you have to ask yourself why. You know, and I think it was the yielding turf. And my problem with Tama here, and she can obviously win this race, is the reality of her is she's been a massive disappointment.
Yeah.
She got a lot of credit. Now, in fairness to her, her 1-turn mile race at Belmont was a good effort. But honestly, was that Sands Point really that good? Speak to Me as Summer had trouble in that race, and how she turned out to be. I'm just not sure that at the end of the day, the Tama is really that good. And I think High Opinion will take a look at her and Tama here in the Boston Spa. Isn't Tama here a horse who's just going in the right direction?
You mean High Opinion? Isn't High Opinion,
High Opinion.
a horse going in the right direction? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I mean, there are 2 horses for me in here.
Well, I think it's a horse for everybody.
Yeah. I'm not too keen on anything else. And yeah, I mean, she's good. I think they kind of, it took them a while to find their way with running her along.
Well,
and then,
yeah, we'll get to that. Don't you think also that maybe going inside, and I don't think Louis really had a choice, I'm not blaming Louis, but that might have muted her rally a little bit in that race?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't there a chance she's just getting better for her trainers having a big year? And I agree with you. I mean, this is a horse, and Tony told me this in Saratoga, because I had said in the air that Tony made mistakes running this horse at 10 furlongs.
Yeah.
And he said to me, you were definitely right. He said, I totally agree. I made a mistake running in those races. And I just think she's better going shorter. I'll be interested to see the odds in here. I think Tama here will be favored, but I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be close.
I do too.
Because I mean, one thing that shows is like she beat her fair and square last
Right.
time out. Now, you can say that Tom here has gotten a little bit better when they've been more aggressive with her. Funny how that happens, isn't it? But at the end of the day, what's she doing in here?
It's going to be
with the
very
presence
hard.
of Shifty She in this race.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard to be that aggressive.
She's not going to be able to outrun her.
Risky Rachel stretching out as well.
But Shifty She
No,
particularly.
I understand that. But yes,
Risky Mischief.
risky.
Rachel's the dam.
Risky
It's
Rachel.
good. Yeah, it's good. Good call.
Thanks.
I remember her. She was a nice horse.
Sandy Bacon.
Yeah, she was a nice horse, Risky Rachel. She was a dirt horse, though, right? Yeah.
She was the.
It's very. I mean, I do want to say though, In a Hurry is improved. I mean, I think she's a distant
She
third
has.
choice for us. But to be fair, she has really improved in her recent races, except Clara Peters, by the way. I mean, she will never win a race if she. I mean, she was awful in Tofino
Not
last
for
time.
me.
How about the winner of the race? Nobody claimed for $35,000, and in 19 days has made $102,300 since that race.
Fantastic.
Incredible. They can win coming back on short rest. The Hill Prince came up a super fun race, without a doubt. We'll start out with Public Sector, Never Surprised, and he's pure gold in the Saranac. I'm obviously rooting for Public Sector. I hope that he wins, but I'll tell you something about him. He has gotten 2 straight dream trips. Now, he didn't get a good trip in the Manila, and he ran very well in defeat, but he draws an outside post. There is speed in this race, which will help him. But you're talking about a favorite that's got two unbelievably good trips in a row. Never Surprised, of course, I'd like to have in here, but how's he making the lead in this race with the likes of It Can Be Done and Original and here inside
shot.
of him?
Cannot
So,
make it.
I mean, he can. I mean, what do I think? I'd just send him.
Yeah, but
Because I don't think he's winning
got to
rating.
clear those 2 and the rest of them from out there with the short run to the turn. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd love to pick that horse because you know I'm a fan of that horse, but it's tough to make a case, especially with that post in here. I like Public Sector more than you do. You've got him third.
Yeah, I flipped.
Well, you're really
flipped the
turning
two
on
Chad-
Seth. To wait till I'm going to tell you, he's going to be crushed.
I flipped the 2 Chad horses.
Can't
around.
rely on me, but he can rely on you. You've really turned on him.
I flipped the 2 Chad horses.
very mean.
Around. I just feel like Sifting Sands, there might be a little bit more blue sky than for Public Sector.
Okay.
He's had less chances.
So we'll get to Civic Sand in a minute. I gave you the replay so you could see that. You didn't pay attention to replays before races or during the show. Okay. I still think Public Sector is getting better, and the way Chad Brown's horses are going, I'm not leaving any horse in his barn out.
No.
So I'm not a big fan of Founder in here. Who knows? The horse you have on top here is Soldier Rising and Slicked Back. Why do you have him on top, Soldier Rising?
So he ran into €2 in the Saratoga Derby Invitational and the Jockey Club Derby last time, and
Well, wait. Well, yeah, okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
And it seems to me that his 2 races, now maybe they're a little dressed up because of the result, but I mean, I thought he did a lot. I thought he did a good deal of running in the Saratoga Derby. He kind of sucked up last time.
Well, no,
but-
wait a second. He actually had a little trouble last time, though. He had overall a very, very good trip.
Yeah.
He had a good. Ira Ortiz gave Soldier Rising the kind of ride that shows why he's won the Eclipse Award the last few years. You cannot give a better ride and get a more perfect trip than he got in the Saratoga Derby. I mean, he saved all the ground. The pace was extremely quick in there, and he got a great setup. He's flattered by the fact that State of Rest, who beat him, won the Cox Plate last night. He's got to overcome a tough post, though, doesn't he? And he's had 2 good trips in a row.
He does, but he's also a horse that can, if
Then
Irad
what?
can't work out a trip trying to get position, he can make up some ground.
Well, it's
from off
Joel.
the
It's not
back.
Irad.
Joel, rather. I'm sorry.
But well, listen, he's dangerous. I don't disagree with you. But he's also gotten 2 perfect trips in a row, and he's got a bad outside post. Now, listen, maybe I'm supposed to have him in front of Public Sector, who might be a shorter price. And maybe the fact that he lost to a horse that won the Cox Plate should move him up a little bit. I like the cutback in distance because he ran fine a mile and 3/16. But maybe he is a horse that flourished a little bit going longer because he was a horse over in Europe that was better going longer.
Going longer.
He can win. He's a player in here. I'm not sure what to do with him. I went into a different direction. I thought about Sifting Sands, so you have second. We'll take a look at him in here. He's an improved horse, but isn't the water getting a lot deeper?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But if he keeps improving, and he shows the same improvement that he did from the allowance win to the Better Talk Now victory, which is what we're looking at here, why can't he keep moving forward?
No, that's fair. I don't think that's. I'm not going to argue with that.
Right, last summer it was these 2. It was Sifting Sands and Public Sector. Those were the 2 best Chad Brown 2-year-olds on the turf, and here they are a year later.
Not based on his first start.
No, not based on his first.
Yeah,
start.
he's really coming to hand, and sometimes these horses need time. And as a Dubawi, he's supposed to appreciate more distance.
Sure.
No, I'm not. I think he's a player in here, but the water's getting deeper. I'm very. I want to take a shot in this race, and I am very interested in War Bomber. I don't think you're going to see too many horses with a pedigree like this horse has get claimed for 25,000. This horse is a half-to Celebration, who was the second best 3-year-old in Europe in Frankel's crop and won 2.6 million, won the Jacques Marat, and he won the Queen Elizabeth at the end of the year before finishing fourth in the Breeders' Cup. It's also a half to, my mind is going, another Lancaster Bomber, and another horse that won a lot of money. Well, whatever Mark Cassidy was doing with him, it wasn't working. But whatever Norm McKnight did with him, it worked. 'Cause I thought he ran very well last time, because this was a race that essentially fell apart. And he made the first move to it, and he was drawing away at the end. He's got to transfer that form from Canada down here. No question about it. He's got to get an extra furlong, and he may be a horse that's better at a mile, considering his pedigree, because they really were milers, those horses. But he's going to be a big price, and he ran last time off the claim. And I think his race is every bit competitive with the horses are going to be, a quarter the price that he is. So I have to bet a few dollars on him. I don't have any real confidence in him. This is a much tougher spot, but he ran last time.
Okay.
There's no denying it. I mean, I thought he really ran. And I thought it was an interesting horse. Anybody else in here we want to touch
No.
on? Slick Back, impossible? The problem with Slick Back, he got badly outworked by that horse that I liked in the stake yesterday, who got beaten in the nose for second. Not that he ran badly. I'll tell you what, the race that Slick Back, the thing about Slick Back is, his last race didn't come out of nowhere, because he got an atrocious ride in the Virginia Derby. You can't tell by looking at the running line there, but this horse fell back almost to last, turning for home. After being 3 wide in the first turn, 3 to 4 wide in the second turn, this horse really ran well in that race. Now, it was a much weaker race.
Right.
But from a trip standpoint, his effort in the Virginia Derby was very, very good. And unlike so many other horses we're talking about this race, he drew well.
That he did. Yeah. The other, I mean, look, my 4 picks are on the 4.
Right. I mean, I'm very much with you on all those horses, and I don't disagree. I mean, I think the strength of this race is probably 8 through 11, at least on paper. But they're not good posts going a mile and
they're
eighth.
not.
And I'll tell you one thing: a couple of them aren't going to get great trips
Right.
in here. That's the thing, and that's the problem. And Slick Back, because he has post 2, and Luis Saez, he's probably the most likely horse of any of them. Probably my
to
horse
get a
as
good
well, with
trip.
Dylan, who's riding so well. They're going to get better trips probably than a couple of those horses.
I don't
And it could
disagree.
really make a difference, especially in these tricky mile and eighth races. Race number 10. You have just copped out with that Jose Ortiz pickup from Farron Peterson.
I did.
I picked it second.
I did.
Go ahead.
You just said it. Pair of blinkers, rider change. Yeah, this horse has some speed. And,
He's logical.
yeah, very logical.
You know who's a funny horse in here? The horse you have second, I have third, Canary Love. Because I'm going to argue this horse might run the best race ever run on the turf, yet Christophe entered this horse MTO in a dirt race.
Yep.
It's like weird. Like, I wonder if something happened on the turf. I mean, horses don't run down on the turf, do they? Like, it's weird. And it's not like this horse has done anything. I mean, I can understand him entering the horse and happy to run if the race came off the turf, but why would he have entered this horse MTO on the turf?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even think he had a horse in that race, did he?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it's funny. It's interesting. And I'll tell you something about this horse. I loved him in his second start. Now, obviously, it was a bad opinion, and it doesn't matter. But he could not have gotten a better trip than he got in his second start, and he went backwards when they came for home.
Yeah.
But Christophe is determined to run him back on the turf. I'm giving Lauchi another chance in here, and I'm giving Eric Hansel another chance, though it's not his fault, per se. This horse actually ran extremely well in the Classy Edition race, and let's watch this race. He just completely blew the brake. So after blowing the brake, I don't blame Eric. He did the right thing. He said, I got a horse with speed. I'm not going to sit back and take him out of his game. So he rushes up. I mean, this horse breaks a length plus slow and rushes up into a pace that may look slow on paper. This pace completely incinerated, completely and totally incinerated. I'm going to cross my fingers and hope he breaks today. I know it's not the kind of horse you like, but the other thing about this is horse is not going to be a short price. And if this horse can break with the field, I think he can win. I don't disagree about Silver Fist, but I think this horse is interesting.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
No pedigrees to talk about? You know who Giggling Ghost is a have to, trying the dirt for the first time? Farragut. I always loved Farragut.
The 2 Sunset Louisa full to the Reds who won the Federico Tessio.
Sons of Louisa is a full of the Reds?
Yes.
I didn't even notice that. And I looked at the pedigree. I loved the Reds. If only he could have gotten second to Risk Profile, and he broke his maiden at Aqueduct. The whole year would have been different. Entire year.
Your whole life.
Not my life, but the whole year would have been different. All right, we're done.
So sick.
It's been fun. Hey, you laugh. You know what? You're going to have a week off from me after tomorrow.
I
so
know.
enjoy it while you
I
can.
know. I know.
Anyhow,
I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I have no idea what I'm going to do. Thankfully, I'll be preoccupied getting some Breeders' Cup and some Breeders' Crown stuff ready.
Breeders' Crown. I see we have like a cross country pick 5 with the Breeders' Crown next week. Yeah, I saw that.
I
won't be, but the pre-entries I'll be. They take them on Monday and they come out around 2 or 3 weeks later. Do they come out after or before the Breeders' Cup?
Breeders' Cup pre-entries on Monday, and then they fight about.
No, they got mad at
Monday
me for
and
making
Tuesday.
fun of them about that, and they've ignored my sensational Breeders' Cup videos every year. So, it works both ways.
You have your Breeders' Cup purple on today.
I do. I might wear it
In
again.
anticipation.
I am taping those Breeders' Cup preview videos on Thursday. On the Thursday, was that like
4th.
the 4th?
Yes.
Yes, I am taping those after I get back from vacation. I'll be working feverishly. Well, it's always fun. Anyhow, head over to Naira Bets. You've had so much fun. It comes at a price. And the price is you doing the right thing for yourself and for racing. Playing through Naira Bets. Use the promo code CUP25. $200 deposit match and a free $25 Breeders' Cup play. Guaranteed to make money with all those selections on those Breeders' Cup videos. Last year was a bad year. I was on a big run in the Breeders' Cup. Been strong for years. Last year was not a good year. I'm going to hopefully
the
rebound
Cup?
this year. Yeah. No, overall, I've done very well in the Breeders' Cup in my lifetime. I have no complaints. Pick 6, carryover, $47,777. Starts in race 5 today. More action. Just remember, 102 betting interests on today's 10-race card. And Anthony, once again, how many horses is that per race?
10.2.
All right. Look at that. Could that be a preview of the of the is that bricks?
Could that be? It looks like dirt.
Really? Well, that's complexity. I wonder who that is. That is a Klarovich run.
Is that complexity?
Anyway,
Did Code of Honor finish behind him?
Code of Honor. I was thinking that may have been on the 8th pole in the Kelso last
Right.
year. 20% exacta bonus. Got to opt in, which I already did. Takes about a nanosecond to do it on your exact date through Naira Bets. Keep them rolling, Francisco. I think a cross-country pick 5.
That's exactly what it is, by the way, because there was nobody in the
That's what I
stands.
thought. Yeah. What?
There was nobody in the stands.
Oh, that's right. Make a great point. 3 at Keeneland, 2 at Belmont, 3 stakes, 2 allowances at Keeneland. Good stuff. That's cross country pick 5 from 421 to whenever. Also, that's the cross country pick 5. Probably about an hour and a half action there, something like that. A little less, probably. 12:30 to 5:30. America's Day at the Races. You can see it right here. You can see that on our set. I got to tell you, tremendous job by the crew making this set and setting it up.
Looks great.
Really? No, really, it does. It looks really,
does.
really
It looks
nice.
great.
And they set it up in one night, getting it all ready.
I don't mock the whole crew, just Francisco.
This was a great man. Okay, you've been picking on him all
You
day.
flip-flop on Francisco big time.
No, I feel I have to defend him because you're misbehaving so badly. Anyway, I don't flip-flop. We got the greatest crew. I know you're making fun. We have the greatest crew. We really
We do have the greatest crew.
We really do, and they don't get the credit that they deserve. They never will, and they deserve a lot of credit for the I think about 1,200 hours or more of national television broadcasting done, as well as the simulcast.
And they put up with you.
Yeah, you make a great point. We're done. Johnny I up next to reprise the Scratch and Change. Have a great day.